Welcome to YOUCANIC. Here we're troubleshooting a 2017 BMW 7 Series, and I'll show you how you can run a quick scan, how you can look at live data, and do a few other things using the YOUCANIC scanner. So here, to get to this screen, and this is the quick scan where the scanner goes through all the control modules and gives us full codes that are on the control modules. Now here down at the bottom you can click report, and not only do you see the codes, but if you scroll down you actually see the actual full code and the description. So we have a lot of intermittent full codes. Permanent full code. Intermittent means just they're not always there, so they have come, for example, it might have been an issue while driving, but it's currently not an issue. So codes are intermittent, a little bit more difficult to diagnose on a car like this that hasn't been scanned, it looks like, for a long time. It's recommended to just save the report. So you save this in case you need it to come back to it for troubleshooting something you can't pinpoint, narrow it down. So it's better to just save it and then clear all the codes, which you can do by going here, erase. This will go through all the control modules and it'll clear any codes that are not present or permanent. So, and then you can restart, drive the car for a day or two, and then you come back in here and then you see which codes come back on. So for example, if we erase this, you can see how it's going to go through the various control modules and it's going to start clearing codes. So it cleared codes from that one. Some won't clear, like if they're current issues, like they're not resolved, they're not going to clear, but you can see a lot of them are clearing. That cleared. EGS transmission full codes, those cleared. Now what we can do here though, we can't select any of these control modules and enter it. So like you can do further troubleshooting, you can look at live data from a specific control module. You can do like active tests, for example, like if you're trying to like activate a fuel pump or something of that nature. So we're just gonna give it a minute so while this goes through all the control modules and clears everything, and then we'll come back. So here most of the codes cleared, which is good, but we still have a few, so you can come back to report, and now you have a list down here with a lot less full codes that you can try to troubleshoot. So if you hit save here, you can print this to a wireless printer, you can email it, or you can simply just save it on this scan tool and then pull it up later. But if you go back here, so if we enter this, if we go to control modules, all those control modules we saw earlier are going to be in one of these folders. So for example, chassis, ABS and dynamic stability control. Under body you have a lot of control modules. You can troubleshoot, you can enter any of this, and then you can read codes, do live data. So I'm going to enter one. I'm going to enter the, let's see, the engine control unit, and then here you can see hardware information. So if you were to try to figure out how to replace that part, that helps. Read codes. We only have one full code here left, and it's permanent, and that's what we're going to keep. You gotta fix that before you can clear that one. You can try clearing it, but a code like that is going to come right back up unless you fix the issue. So as soon as you restart the car, that code is going to come right back up. So right here you go to live data, and this is where you can see a lot of live data that the engine control unit monitors. Now if we enter the transmission control unit, for example, we will see all the data the transmission monitors, like speed sensors and stuff like that. If we enter the ABS, we would have seen live data from the ABS control module. There's a lot of data here. It takes a second to update. Misfire counter, fuel tank level, and so on. You can see this data updating live, and you can also graph it down here. You can graph up to 4 data points, any of those points that we saw there. Let's go back here for a second, go back some more. Active tests, here we can do injectors, so we can turn those on and off, for example. So you can troubleshoot if the injector is now disable injector 6, and car is starting to shake a little bit. The engine is shaking. Activate it. And so this is good to determine if you got a bad injector. Under general, you have a few more tests. Solenoid valve for tank ventilation, fuel pump. You can turn this on and off. Turbocharger coolant pump. You can turn that on and off. Electric fan. So you can test the electric cooling fan on the vehicle. Coolant pump circuit. You can activate that. Activation finished. Deactivate. And so on electric fans, you can go. So this is the engine control unit, or DME BMW calls it. For example, if we want to go to electronic transmission control, here we're under the transmission control unit. You can read codes. Codes for the transmission. You can look at live data, and here adaptation functions and so on. Learned. Gear indicator, voltage supply, status request. I do select all. So parking. So if we did shift gears here, if we go into drive, for example, I'll show gear 1. So you can test that. I'll go back to parking. Let's go back. Voltages and so on. You have active test for a transmission. You can do reset of transmission control unit. Just resets all the adaptation values. Gear selector. So if, let's say, your shifter is not working correctly, you can look at live data, but you can go active test. You can reset it. You can release manual shift gate. Let's go back. You can release it for 10 seconds. Let's go ahead and let's go back. Let's go back. Under chassis, you have a lot of dynamic stability control. That's a pretty common one, because if one of the ABS wheel speed sensor is faulty, you're going to have codes there, as we'll see here. So there is one code here, signal from a BDC central gateway module is no communication. Let's go to live data. Here is where, if you have a bad ABS wheel speed sensor, you will see you'll have a code that says front left or front right. But in this case, we can go wheel RPM sensors, and then it tells you all the ones, all the sensors, and then it also shows you the direction. So right here, if I had to start driving a little bit, these values should change. So this is, if you have one that's not changing, it's not keeping up with the rest, they should all match. But if they don't, then you know which one is the bad ABS wheel speed sensor. But usually you'll have a full code as well under full codes. So automatic hold brake, and a lot of data, live data from the ABS here. Go to active tests. You can activate the ABC pump or ABS pump. So this would be necessary if you're doing bleeding the brake lines. You can test the hold function. Reset control unit, traction pressure monitor, reset. So this is how you can enter any of the different control modules. You can look at read codes, clear codes, and there is a lot of all the control modules that are on this car are going to be listed in here. If you get a no communication with one of them, then there's a couple of possibilities. One is, let's say you are trying to communicate with a headlight control module. Well, if it only has halogen lights and this car does not have adaptive headlights, for example, then there might not be that control module installed on this car. So what that means, you're just going to get no communication. But if you're sure that control module is on this vehicle, like for example transmission control module is going to be in here, if it's an automatic transmission and you get no communication, then there is an issue either with a module or it's not getting power, fuse, wire harness, or something like that. So we have another video on where we talk about no communication issues. But that's how you can use the YOUCANIC scanner to troubleshoot your BMW. We hope you found this this video helpful. Now we are under diagnostics. There is a few maintenance functions as well. You can do like battery registration and a few other injector oil reset and so on. So not everything is going to apply. Like if we're on a gasoline BMW with a gasoline engine, so we're not going to have AdBlue or DPF functions for this, or the CVT doesn't have a CVT transmission. But a lot of other ones, electronic parking brakes, like if you want to release the parking brakes so that you can replace the rear brake pads, you can do that, and so on. And that's all. Thank you for watching YOUCANIC, where you can be the mechanic.